natural park, El Mongri, Illes Mendes, and El Baix Ter in Girona form a spectacular whole array of cliffs, coves, and beaches with seabeds of great ecological value. The mountain range and its wetlands along the River Ter make it a unique place not only in Catalonia, but also all over and throughout Spain. The park is divided into 3 differentiated zones to explore, which will certainly surprise its visitors. The surroundings and the environment of El Mongri, the group of islands, and the wetlands of El Baix Ter. Each of these landmarks and places has its own characteristics, which will give them personality, offering a variety of itineraries and activities to those who want to approach the area. Illes Mendes and El Mongri massif have 25 different habitats, from which 3 are the priority and 11 have a community interest. The Hermitage de Santa Caterina is located in one of the valleys of the massif of Mongri. Because of its location, isolated and surrounded by nature, it has become a space dedicated to worship and to the spiritual and religious life for the locals. The visitors usually go in their free time with the excuse of traveling the rocky path that goes from Torroella de Montgrí to the Hermitage and goes up to the Castle of Mongri, also known as Castel de Santa Caterina. Around the year 1390, 3 monks that came from the Monastery de Montserrat founded the Hermitage in a place that was called Font Eribosa, a fountain that sprouted clean and clear water. In this place, they invoked Santa Caterina with the permission of the Aragon king, who was the owner of the villa in the Mongri mountain itself. Mongri Park, the Mendes Islands, and the Ter wetlands are, without a doubt, one of the great attractions to visit in the Girona province while getting to know the landscapes, flora, and fauna that are the envy of other protected zones in the world. Going down the depths of the Mediterranean or walking around the cliffs evokes a confluence of emotions in the visitors that will be linked to this land forever. On top of the massif of Mongri, near the coast, resides the castle of Torroella de Montgri, or Castel de Santa Caterina, starring many stories and legends, is the destination of hiking routes and for many visitors every year. It is a military fortification that was built in 1294, ordered by King Jaume II the Just, in order to have a control point against the attacks of the Count of Empúries. The castle was never finished, since they were interrupted in 1301 due to the consolidation of power of the Count of Barcelona. Located in the heart of Emporda, this park has a variety of elements of protection that regulate these unique terrestrial and maritime spaces. Nature has been generous with this territory, which gives us 3 different landscapes of great beauty: the mountain, the ocean, and the river or wetlands. The massif of Mongri, one of the most emblematic silhouettes of the Emporta, has been witness of the relationship of the man with its environment from the Paleolithic age until now. The Count of Imperies, around 1302, altered the course of the River Ter. At the height of Verges, a series of locks deviated the waters for the southern slope of the Montgrí range. This would be the date of the start of the formation of a continental dune. The course of the dry river was no longer a barrier for the propagation of the sand deposited by the Muga, the Fluvia, and the Ter. Forestry engineer, Xavier de Ferrer, started a long work of forestry engineering in 1895 that turned the dunes into a pine forest. Torre Moracha, near the center of Lestertit, belongs to the massif of Mongri. It is characterized by a steep hill with some significant cliffs, but a smooth hill on the southern side where it is easy to access by foot. In the summit resides the remains of a fortified watchtower from the modern era that was part of the defense system against the disembarkation of pirates in the 28th century. In the summit resides the remains of a fortified watchtower from the modern era that was part of the defense system against the disembarkation of pirates in the 28th century. The Rocamaura Lookout is the beautiful summit always omnipresent above the beaches in the port of Lestertit. This is the last foothill of the mountains of Mongri towards the Mediterranean Sea, where you can enjoy one of the best views of all the Emporta. The landscape of the Illes Medes is one of the most beautiful of La Costa Brava, and we are fortunate enough to enjoy this environment from the most perfect lookouts, Punta de Moulinet and Cap de la Barra. The route of the Calacaela is of outstanding beauty. This is a very entertaining and varied route that goes through cliffs with privileged views of Lestertit and its beach, the Illes Medes, Rocamaura, and the Franja Litoral. The small archipelago of Les Medes has a surface of 21.5 hectares, is formed by 7 islets and some stumbling rocks, and makes up a landscape of great beauty unique in Catalonia due to the great quantity of environments and species that are found in it. The route brings us closer to Calacalea through surly and rocky places near the Franja Litoral, where we'll get to know its uniqueness. Between the 15th of January and the 15th of June, it is forbidden to walk through the Calacalea, which is a sensible area for threatened species. coastal strip extends to around 10 kilometers between the Capdellabara and the Cala. It is the only example in Catalonia of exceptional cliffs of more than 100 meters in height and of calcareous origin. The geomorphology of the area is very diverse and originates different accents such as coves, gulfs, inlets, or caves, which together form a landscape of exceptional beauty and has been shaped mostly by the action of the sea. La Punta Ventosa, whose name is a consequence of the strong scourge suffered by the north wind, the tramontana, is a cliff that exceeds 100 meters in height and is one of the highest on the Mongri coast. Along with the Salto Pastor, its fall is practically perpendicular, which contributes to the spectacularity of its image. At the end of the promenade of Baix Ter, past the port, a walk next to the sea begins and is approximately 1 kilometer long. It ends when reaching the great rock of Moulinet, which is 30 meters high and the closest point of land to the Lamides Islands. The walk allows you to see other small islets near the rugged coast: El Inglés, Las Coronas, La Bleda. The final section of this walk, so exposed to the north wind on rainy days, may be closed due to the risk of landslides in its last stretch. Mas Rahl, a 16th century farmhouse whose most prominent feature is the watchtower, is in very good condition. It is made with irregular stone without working. In front of the farmhouse there is an old well. According to Joseph Bert, it is one of the oldest in the term and probably from the early 16th century. El Maston P. had been famous before the Civil War for his poultry farming. In 1921, the settlers, or the Cole family, received prizes for their flocks of geese and ducks in the second small livestock contest organized by the Toroea de Montgrí Agricultural Union. Today, things have changed. In the Rec Viejo, where the ducks used to swim, there is practically no water left. In this unique place between the Mongri massif, the Gola del Ter, and the Mediterranean Sea, a diversity of landscapes converge. The riverbank leaves behind a plain full of crops and the fauna in the sea an extensive beach. With native vegetation and dunes, different companies, many of them family-owned, offer accommodation, gastronomy, and different activities related to tourism in contact with nature. Boston Bow, an original farmhouse from the middle of the 20th century, surrounded by fields of cultivation, complements its activity like so many others today with the offer of rural tourism. The School of Rosa dels Vents in L'Estartit offers activities as summer camps for the young. They propose recreational activities in the middle of nature combined with learning the English language. Nature is the brand of quality in this territory. Its footprint is centenary and generous. Mountains, valleys, orchards, the River Ter, wetlands, beaches, dunes, coves, and islands. With the passage of time, the balance between man and the earth becomes fragile, and the necessary tools must be created to restore it. The effort of this work is consolidated with the law of declaration of the Natural Park of Montgrí, Illes Mendes, and Baix Ter. During these autumn weeks, the lagoons of the La Platera wetlands are visited by a great number of migratory birds, which find a good habitat to stop and regain strength on their journey. A good part of these birds are only present at this time, since they reproduce in northern Europe and the cold makes them spend the winter in milder latitudes, either on the Mediterranean coast or further south in the African tropics. This way, during these days in the Baix Ter wetlands, you can see small groups of trails and birds and even flamingos feeding on the invertebrates found in the lagoons of La Platera and Frei Ramon, including the new rafts created in the framework of the LIFE project. The Tervel is a lagoon area formed by the old mouth of this river, which was displaced in the 19th century about 2 kilometers further south. The freshwater lagoons of this natural complex, covering about 23 hectares, are mainly populated with reeds, as well as trees, many of which of them are tamarinds, on their shore. The strict area of the mouth of the Tervel is located next to the Playa Grande of l'Estartit at the end of the promenade, in its southern area. Lagoa del Ter shows us a suggestive landscape. If what you want is to escape from the large crowds and enjoy the calm of a long beach of fine sand away from the buildings and large hotel complexes, then this is the perfect beach. It is very close to our houses and characterized by its small dunes. It's a virgin and wild beach, ideal to enjoy all year round, since outside the peak season it presents an air of enlightening solitude. It is a unique place on the Costa Brava, where the seawater converges with that of the Ter River and from where you can observe, face-to-face, an extraordinary phenomenon, one of the best sunsets in the area, over the mouth of the Ter and the rising of the moon over the sea, all at the same time.